Hey, greetings, everyone. It's Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Senior Fellow at the Media Research Center. As you can see, based upon my shirt that I got from theflagshirt.com, it is coming up on our 242nd Independence Day. And this is the day that we recognize and remember the signing of that incredible document, the Declaration of Independence. And if there's one thing that I can ask each and every one of you to do, is to not say Happy 4th of July, because the 4th of July is just a date on the calendar. But tell each and every person that you meet coming up on this Wednesday, Happy Independence Day. And maybe if you can just find that time to read the entire Declaration of Independence, and maybe also share the reading of that declaration with your family members, in your churches, in your communities. Because I think it's very important that we understand and realize what our founding fathers did for us 242 years and what they established in these great United States of America. And speaking of these great United States of America, this past weekend I was out at Tombstone, Arizona for Freedom Days and also the 25th anniversary of the movie Tombstone. It was an incredible experience to be out there in that little piece of American history. But something else was going on this past weekend that really is the subject of what I want to talk to you about. All of these interesting protests and marches talking about abolishing the Immigration Control Enforcement Agency. See, back in the year 2000, Mel Gibson tried to change up his, personality, his movie character. And he did a movie called What Women Want. Maybe you remember that movie. That was where he had this freak accident that enabled him to hear and understand exactly what women were thinking. Some people may think that's a blessing. At a point in time in the movie, he found that to be a curse. But I want to ask, what is it that the progressive socialist left really wants here in the United States of America? Because when you're talking about abolishing the immigration control enforcement, well, you're talking about not standing up for the sovereignty of the United States of America. What you're saying is that you don't believe that we should control the immigration, that we should control the citizenship standards and status here in the United States of America, that not just have open borders, but really you talking about undermining the very existence of the United States of America. Is that really what the left wants for our country here 242 years later, for it to not exist, for us to just be some area that anyone can transit into? I don't know about you, but I don't think that it's an inherent right to everyone to be in the United States of America. I think that we do have a rule of law. I think that we do have standards that we're supposed to abide by, and we're supposed to have agencies that enforce those standards and those laws. But what does the left really want? They really want to see that all go away, because they just want to have more people dependent upon them so that they can attain electoral power. And speaking of electoral power, one of the things that we saw a complete apoplectic meltdown from the left about last week was, well, the retirement of Justice Anthony Kennedy. Think about the absurdity of some members of Congress, namely the Democratic senators that are asking for a hearing as to why Justice Kennedy decided to retire, to step down. Hey, guess what, folks? He's over 80 years old. He just wants to enjoy his life. I don't recall the Senate Democrats asking for hearings when Barack Obama had the opportunity to replace a couple of Supreme Court justices. Did we need to know why other justices were stepping down, retiring? No. See, the thing is, once again, we have a progressive socialist left in America that has sought to control our schools, sought to control the Fourth Estate, our media, and the Media Research Center does a great job in pointing out their hypocrisy, but they also want control of the courts. And now they're starting to get this sensing that possibly the courts could change, not in their favor. And what favor we're talking about? We're talking about the favor of the Constitution of the United States of America. And when you hear people such as Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren and Cory Booker talk about how, well, they don't want that pesky little thing called the Constitution to get in the way of progressive laws. Yes, that's exactly what they said. See, what does the left really want? They want to have their ideological domination to be able to be implemented, mandated, if not through the legislative branch, definitely through the judicial branch and through judicial activism. And what are they crying about now? How certain landmark cases may be overturned. Well, think about this with Roe versus Wade. People say that a woman has a right to choose. But what are they really choosing? They're choosing to murder unborn babies. And as a black man, I will tell you that since Roe versus Wade in 1973, 17 to 18 million black babies have been murdered in the womb. Now that's real family separation, but that's not something that is a concern of the left. See, what we need to come to understand as we go ready to celebrate this 242nd anniversary of these great United States of America, that there is a socialist movement in this country. And this socialist movement is the antithesis of who we are, what we were declared to be. As a matter of fact, this socialist movement is all about everything that those men signed their names to and stood against and spoke against in the Declaration of Independence. What does the progressive socialist left in America want? They do want control. They do want ideological domination. And they will use any means to achieve those ends, such as this past weekend, you saw the clash between Antifa and just everyday conservatives that were exercising their freedom of speech right. Because it does become about violence and intimidation because they have lost the argument. What does the left want in the United States of America? They want no political opposition. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not what our founding fathers stood for 242 years ago.